Part 113. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 1152. Second update. That's how it should be. Chu Xia looked at Lin Chuchun with admiration. How can a person succeed in everything in this life? It's not a bad thing to fail once in a while, just get up and move forward, right? Yes. Lin Chuchun smiled sheepishly. I just feel that there are too many troublesome sisters. If I don't live up to my expectations, I will be embarrassed to see my sister and uncle. You kid, you are too worried. Your sister is helping you because she sincerely hopes you will be well. As long as you work hard, no matter what the result is, we will not be disappointed. Lin Bao he reached out and patted the other party on the shoulder with a look on his face. I am gratified. If you are so strict with yourself, success will come sooner or later. Thank you Uncle Bao he for your encouragement. Lin Chuchun immediately smiled brightly. Now I am full of confidence in my future, and I also believe that as long as I work hard, one day I will be able to help Sister Chuxia of. Okay, I'll wait for you to help me. Chu Xia smiled at him. I got such a strong arm with so little effort, I should be the one who earned it, right? Sister, just bury me. Chuchun smiled sheepishly. I still know how much I weigh. At most, I am just a little errand boy for my sister. I don't dare to use my arms. Then you are the same as me. Jun Kuakuo, who was sitting silently, looked at him seriously. My mother said that although I am older than Daodu takes care of me most of the time, so my duty is to be an errand boy for Daodu. From now on, we can be friends and help each other. Okay. Looking at the other party's big eyes that flickered, the words of rejection came to his lips but he couldn't say them out, and he hesitated for a while. Lin Chuchun finally nodded. Okay, let's help each other. Let's shake hands. Yun Kuakuo smiled with crooked eyebrows, and stretched out her white and tender hands towards Lin Chuchun. From now on, when I run errands for Daodu, you accompany me, and when you run errands for Chu Xia, I will accompany you. Okay. Good. Daodu. I also have a companion. Jun Kuakuo looked at her sister happily. I will take him with me when I go to school in the future, okay. You have to ask Chuchun about this. Jun Daodu smiled apologetically at Lin Chuchun. My sister has a very simple mind. She wants to bring you along because she likes you. You don't have to be embarrassed, just tell her what you think. She won't force you. You should treat me like a child. Jun Guo pouted in disbelief. Grandpa Chi has said that my current situation is normal. Don't always treat me like a child. Okay, I was wrong. Jun Daodu quickly admitted her mistake. I actually don't treat my sister as a child, I just help her to explain, and there are some things that I won't say. Chuchun doesn't know either, right? That's true. Jun Kuakuo smiled broadly at Lin Chuchun. If I say or do something wrong in the future, just tell me clearly and I won't be angry. Okay. Apart from answering, Lin Chuchun really didn't know what to say. He knew Yun Kuakuo's situation well. It was precisely because of this that he was particularly worried about what might happen if he said something wrong and made the other party unhappy. Are you unhappy with Ziyang when you come here? Zhao Yulan pulled Lin Chuakuo aside and asked in a low voice. Your parents-in-law didn't say anything, right? And, don't worry. None of them are unhappy. Moreover, they are particularly supportive of me bringing Mao Mao out to see the world. Lin Chuakuo held Zhao Yulan's hand affectionately, and my father-in-law and mother-in-law, I have a very good impression on my second uncle and second aunt. I heard that they are coming to your place, so they can rest assured. That's good. Zhao Yulan sighed. You can't misunderstand what second aunt means. Second aunt is very happy for you to come over. However, if you and your husband's family have a dispute because of this, second aunt will definitely not agree. Xianalai has a pure mind and feels that her parents-in-law are so kind to him and they are not angry at anything. Even if your parents-in-law are nice to you, they must not be angry at anything. I told her, but she said yes, but actually didn't listen. Hey. Sighing again, Zhao Yulan shook her head. Fortunately, this child is lucky. She doesn't care about anything. Her husband is also easy to talk to, otherwise, her father and I would be worried to death. This means who gets his fate, who gets his blessings. Lin Chui also sighed with emotion. I remember how disobedient she was when she was little, and I scolded her a lot even before that. She was so disobedient. I thought all I heard were rumors, but it wasn't until I actually met him that I discovered that a person can really be reborn. This also illustrates the saying that good people are rewarded. The second uncle and second aunt are absolutely kind-hearted. Even God can't bear to see the second uncle and second aunt being bullied. You child, what you say is so nice. Zhao Yulan rubbed her head lovingly. Although our family is no longer close to Dalan village, you can't be alienated from us. Every year from now on we're all moving around, we can't forget our second uncle and second aunt. Can you agree? Of course I can agree. Now I am begging my second uncle and my aunt not to forget me. Lin Chui grinned happily. Seeing how my second uncle and aunt are living like this, I wish I could come and stay here often. At least I can feel the pain of my mother's family like others. Hey. Zhao Yulan looked at her distressedly. Your child has suffered a lot since he was a child. Fortunately, 11 Yang is someone who knows how to care for others, and his parents-in-law are also reasonable. But you and Mao Mao are already so big, so you don't want to have another one? The Lu family only has one son. Your father-in-law and mother-in-law don't say anything, but in their hearts they must be longing for a grandson. We plan to have another one next year. My mother-in-law was not in good health before, and I have to take care of her and take care of Mao Mao. If there is another baby, I will be too busy at all. Now that my mother-in-law is in good health, this matter can be put on the agenda. As she said that, Lin Chui glanced at Chu Xia. Xia is still amazing, she gave birth to 2 children at once, how much worry it saves. Haha. Apart from laughing, Zhao Yulan really didn't know how to express her feelings. She was really proud that her daughter could give birth to 2 grandsons at once. However, admit that she was proud. It was not her character. If she did it on purpose, it's not her character to pretend not to care, so let's laugh. Second aunt, are you feeling so beautiful? Lin Chui said as she stretched her head to look outside. Are those 2 little guys coming back soon? When we last saw them, they were just learning to walk. They should be walking steadily now. All right. Well, you can go safely now, just lead me wherever you go. Zhao Yulan said while looking at the time. I'll probably be back in about half an hour. Our family, the Wan family, and the Chi family, all regard these 2 little things as treasures. We have to go around 3 times a day, and it takes 2 or 3 hours to do 1 round. Just as he was talking, he saw 2 little cubs running in staggeringly. One of them grabbed a handful of flowers in his hand, and they were yelling, but they couldn't hear what they were saying. Seeing the 2 of them running to the edge of the sofa, Chu Xia, who was originally sitting there, quickly stood up and stepped away, and the 2 little cubs threw themselves onto the sofa. Lin Chui saw a dark line. Okay, she took back her praise to Chu Xia just now. Is she such a girl? The children were close to her, and she actually teased the 2 little guys like this. Mrs. Zhou and Lin Yangkaiu, who came in later, looked at the 2 little guys trying to get up with their buttocks stuck out, and immediately laughed from ear to ear. Yes, we should treat them like this to prevent them from causing mischief, Mrs. Zhou said as she spoke. He stepped forward and patted the 2 little guys on their butts respectively. Do you think that after being teased once, Mom will be fooled a second time? Grandma, you bully Yin, Bai Bei, who finally stood up, stared at old Mrs. Joe with a dissatisfied look on his face. Baby hurts, my mother is bad, and my grandma is still turning against my mother. Nanan didn't say anything, but looking at the expression on his face, you could tell that he agreed with what his brother said. They had trouble with their mother because they were close to her, but her mother didn't cooperate every time, so bad. Sister. Baby, whose eyes were attracted by Mao Mao, ran over and took the other's little hand. Sister, give me a hug. Chu Xia hurriedly stepped forward and took her son back a step. Baby is wrong, Mao Mao is the elder sister, not the younger sister. Then she squatted next to her son. Sister Mao Mao and brother Xuani are going to stay at our house for a while. You two can spend more time with them, okay? Okay, Baby responded crisply, turning to look at Nanan expectantly. Yeah, being helpless by his younger brother, Nanan also agreed in response to the situation. These two little guys. After looking at them for a long time, Lin Chuyo said, they are so smart that it's scary. Children who are only over 1 year old can actually understand so many words. Our Mao Mao is over 1 year old. At that time, apart from being able to understand what I was eating, I seemed to understand nothing else. Sister, that's just your idea. Children are not as simple as you think. They just don't say it. Chu Xia said while picking up Mao Mao, who looked at her timidly. Mao Mao, you understand it in your heart and don't say it with your mouth. The little girl grinned, looked at her mother again, and finally nodded. See, Chu Xia looked at Lin Chuyo, you think people don't understand, but actually, they do. Sister, this is clearly telling you, don't fool your child in the future, otherwise, she will definitely grow up. I will make up for it. When did I fool her? Lin Chuyo rolled her eyes at Chu Xia and looked at her daughter. So, what happened to Mao Mao that you didn't tell mom? Now tell mom, okay? After rolling his big eyes for a long time, the little guy said, Auntie gives you candy, but Daddy won't let Mao Mao tell Mommy. He smiled shyly. Mao Mao doesn't like Auntie, but Mao Mao likes candy. To be completed, continued. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 1153. Second update arrived. Zhou Mikang glanced at his little wife with a smile. You are such a little fool. In Jingzhe's heart, you are my sister. Isn't it normal for you to come here in the middle of the night for your health? However, you know that he is the only one in Mei's heart. When you need help from someone in the future, try not to trouble him to avoid misunderstanding. Chu Xia stared at the extremely petty-minded division commander with a speechless face, thinking that people would be more generous after being promoted. It turns out that the bigger the official, the smaller the belly. Do you think she is a fool? He also used these words to warn her. He was too lazy to pay attention to such a petty man, so he rolled his eyes with contempt, and Chu Xia turned his back. Zhou Mikang is not impatient when his little wife gets angry. Regardless of whether his little wife likes to hear it or not, he still has to give her vaccinations from time to time. After all, her personality is different from that of women of this era. Just in case something happens, it would be bad if people misunderstood. Master Tongzi did not admit that he was making excuses for his pettiness. Besides, he did know Jingzhe's thoughts very well, and doing this was for everyone's good. After all, Jingzhe is marrying his cousin. It would be boring if his cousin and his wife had a rift in the future due to unnecessary suspicions. Women are all petty. Although my cousin can see clearly now and has no jealousy towards his little wife, love is selfish. After getting married, will my cousin be able to maintain such a calm mind? Not necessarily anymore. Isn't he an example himself? Whoever said in the past that he would be taboo about another man's liking for his wife would never be believed by him, but when the facts are in front of him, any kind of argument is useless. After sitting in Jingzhe's office for about a quarter of an hour, Jo Han Liang carried 2 bottles of water back to the car, only to find a dead pig lying in the car that had fallen asleep. The ice cubes had gone somewhere long ago. Logoziokshan, Logoziokshan, Logoziokshan. Logoziokshan, a close call finally made Miss Logo snore happily. Miss Logo got up, rubbed her eyes, and after a while she came back to her senses. It's been 15 minutes. Of course, Jo Han Liang quickly started the car. Did you get in the car to apply it on your eyes or to catch up on your sleep? I just thought it would be easier to apply it while lying down, but unexpectedly I fell asleep. Logoziokshan said as she stretched her head forward and looked at the rearview mirror, with a worried look on her face. Political Commissar Joe, help me check if my eyes are still swollen. Jo Han Liang took a look at it and said, it's not bad. What do you mean? Okay, Logoziokshan stared at him dissatisfied, swelled, or not? You're asleep, do you think it will be swollen? It's just that it's not red now. If I didn't see your eyes often, I would just think that you were born with swollen eye blisters. Just soak your eyes if they are swollen. There was no other way, so Logoziokshan had no choice but to accept this statement. I'm not going on a blind date anyway, so it doesn't matter. After all, it was a girls' dormitory. It was inconvenient for Jo Han Liang to go in, so he handed the water to Logoziokshan. Tell them, I will wait outside. He had promised to send Lu Meijun's mother back, and he could not break his promise. After thinking for a while, Logoziokshan said, Political Commissar Joe, I think you should go in together. There is already a man inside anyway. Besides, aren't you worried about Daudu? After thinking about it, it was the same thing. If he didn't go in and there was only one man inside, it seemed inappropriate. Give me the water. You go in first. If the man is there, you don't have to say anything. If he's not there, you don't have to say anything. I won't go in. After Logoziokshan entered the room, she found that only Jun Daudu was left in the room, sitting on the edge of the bed in a daze. Seeing her come in, she sighed, Where have you been? My eyes were swollen, so I went to fetch water with Political Commissar Joe. Logoziokshan said as she rushed behind her, Commissioner Joe, come in, just Daudu. After saying that, he looked at Jun Daudu again. May, where is you? Hey, Jun Daudu sighed and glared at Jo Han Liang, who came in later. You guys have been fetching water for a long time. If you had come back earlier to help explain, things wouldn't have gotten out of hand. This would be great, beautiful. I don't know how you will be disciplined when you go home. What's going on? Logoziokshan hurriedly sat next to her and shook her. Can you stop showing off? The man who came with Meijun's mother is a colleague of Meijun's mother's factory. The man is the child of Meijun's mother's colleague's sister. He works in the machinery factory and is a technician. His name is Tongbao. Meijun's mother was very good with that colleague, and that colleague wanted Meijun to marry her sister's son. Tongbao's parents were both factory leaders, and he worked well, so Meijun's mother also thought it was a good fit. It was supposed to be a blind date the day after tomorrow, but suddenly someone introduced Tongbao to a partner. Meijun's mother's colleagues were afraid that Tongbao would be on a blind date with someone else, so they moved forward the date of the blind date. Meijun's mother also knew about it temporarily. When she called, we had already gone out to eat. We couldn't wait for anyone at home, so she led the two of us over. She thought Meijun didn't go back because he had to work overtime at night, so she told them this when she brought them here. As a result, we came back drunk. You guys dropped me off and left. Rumikun was here by himself. When he smelled the smell of alcohol, the boy became unhappy and asked his aunt in a low voice why he lied to him, saying that he was looking for someone who would live an honest life. My daughter-in-law is not someone who only loves to play without doing serious business. He didn't keep his voice down, and Meijun's mother was a little unhappy when she heard it. Unexpectedly, Meijun's mother's colleague didn't want to embarrass herself in front of her nephew, So she directly questioned Mei Jun's mother. Of course, Mei Jun's mother defended Mei Jun, saying that her daughter has always been honest, and tonight was a special occasion. Then Tong Bao said that under special circumstances, girls cannot drink like this and be with men. I happened to be thirsty, so I got up and asked Mei Jun to pour me some water. I really didn't understand the situation at the time and thought it was one of us who was talking. However, the man snorted and said that he didn't like it and was willing to do it for others. The maid's girl. After Mei Jun poured some cold water in the pot for me to drink, I became more awake. When I saw strangers sitting in the room, I asked Mei Jun in a low voice who these were and where you were. Mei Jun whispered to me, and I quickly stood up and explained to them that Mei Jun and I are comrades in arms, colleagues, and good friends, and we don't treat her as a maid. As for the fact that I drank too much, it was because my good friend was leaving. Feeling terrible. Then, Mei Jun teased me and asked me not to explain. She told her mother that she didn't want to find a partner to marry now. Even if she wanted to find someone, she would find one by herself without any introduction from her family. Before her mother said anything, her mother's colleague was not happy. He snorted and said, "She is so full that she can't afford such leisure." She said that her nephew's conditions are so good. If it weren't for the sake of being a good colleague, son, she doesn't know how to introduce him. She also said that if she had known that Mei Jun would go out drinking with a bunch of men and women, she would have said nothing to help introduce them. Then, Mei Jun politely apologized to her, saying that she was sorry for making her worry, and that she was not targeting her. Just wanted to tell her mother what she thought. Later, the man also joined in and made a mess of accusations. Even though my mind was a little confused, I still understood the matter clearly. What I told you earlier was just sorted out by me after they went over and over again. Later, when people from the dormitory next to me heard the noise and ran over to watch the fun, Mei Jun took them away and asked me to wait for you here. Looking at the time, Jun Daodu said, "They have been gone for 9 minutes. I understand, such a person is not worthy of Mei Jun at all. It's just a good idea to break up. However, Mei Jun's mother and that colleague will not get along well in the future." Luo Xiaoxiang said and sighed, "If I had known, I would have come down right then. Just let it be swollen if your eyes are swollen. Anyway, people can already smell what we did from the smell of alcohol, so what's the point of covering it up now? Hey, it would be great if there was someone who sells regret medicine in the world. Okay, don't think about it. That man is not suitable for Lu Mei Jun. If Lu Mei Jun's mother's colleagues have objections to Lu Mei Jun's mother because of this matter, then such a person is not worth making friends with. You just need to pay attention to Lu Mei Jun and see if her mother's work is affected. If so, help when it's time to help. If not, don't do anything. It's getting late, and I've gone back to the dormitory. You two should drink some hot water and rest early. You have to get up early to go to work tomorrow morning, so don't both look like pandas." "No, I have to go home and make a call to explain to Kyokyo, otherwise she will stay up and wait for me." Jun Daodu said and stood up, "You go with me to make a call first and then send me back." Okay, Johan Liang was also annoyed now. He found that he was very good at handling matters in the group, but when it came to these things, he was always lacking. Just now at Jingzhe's place, his self-righteous analysis had humiliated his grandma's house. Here, he actually thought that people would believe him after just one explanation, but he was so naive. Early the next morning, Zhou Mikang came to the teacher's office and found Johan Liang with big dark circles under his eyes, so he asked him, "What did you do without sleep last night?" After hesitating for a moment, Johan Liang asked, "Master, I hope to be by your side, but do you think that with my current ability, can I really do a good job as the division's political commissar?" "Huh?" Zhou Mikang frowned and looked at him. "What happened?" Johan Liang sighed, I just did some self-reflection and feel that my abilities are still somewhat lacking. Then what do you mean? Jo Hanliang said with a bitter face, I'm just afraid of dragging you down, master. Jo Mikang nodded, well, then I will apply to transfer you. Sir, Han Liang suddenly panicked. That's not what he meant. Rs. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 1154. Second update. Lu Ziong's words had reached this point. It would be too petty to question him anymore. Lin Chuchun straightened up, looked at him seriously, and called him brother-in-law. Hey, Lu Ziong responded heavily, with a satisfied smile on his lips. Dong dong dong. I'll open the door. Lu Ziong said as he walked out, it's definitely not your sister Yuer and sister Chuxia. They shouldn't have arrived at the vegetable store yet. The moment the door opened, he saw the handsome and sunny woman standing at the door smiling brightly. The smile on Lu Ziong's face stagnated, and then he asked politely, Yu Li, why are you here? What's the matter? Did Lin Chuo take Mao Mao to the capital? The woman named Yu Li asked straightforwardly. Yes. Before Lin Chudong could say anything else, Yu Li pushed him open, entered the door, and flashed the bag in her hand at him. I bought fresh leeks, and I'll give them to you tonight. Eat dumplings stuffed with 3 delicacies. Why, looking at the other party blankly, Lu Ziong felt as if he was dreaming. His wife had just questioned this woman, and he had just explained clearly why this woman suddenly came to the door and made such a gesture. Why is this? Yu Li gave him a look, can't you see why? Why are you pretending to be confused? Stop, Lu Ziong grabbed her urgently, Yu Li, we are just ordinary colleagues. What do you think when you suddenly come to my house like this? Lu Ziong. Tell me again, what is my relationship with you? Yu Li frowned and looked at Lu Ziong, you took advantage of me and now you treat me like this. Do you have any conscience? When did I take advantage of you? Lu Ziong blushed anxiously, Yu Li, we can't do this unjustly. If my wife sees this, you may not know what she will think of me. Let me emphasize again, the relationship between us is just an ordinary colleague, between you and me. You didn't even touch me, so why did I take advantage of you? Oh. At this point, Lu Ziong slapped his forehead fiercely, I understand. You mean the candies for Mao Mao, right? Let's do it, I'll buy it right away. I'll pay back as much as you say. Okay. Shameless, Yu Li stared at Lu Ziong angrily, I always thought you were an honest person, but I didn't expect you to be such a bastard. Don't you know what advantage you took? Forget it, originally I wanted to not make it too difficult for you and discuss it with you. Now that you have said this, there is no need for me to save face for you. I'm pregnant. Tell me what to do. Before Lu Ziong, who was about to open his mouth to put down an egg, could speak, she continued, don't even think about abortion, I am going to give birth to this child. You. Lu Ziong pointed to himself, are you pregnant with my child? Then he couldn't help but laugh, are you kidding me? If we usually meet and say a few words, in the same room you can get pregnant while working in a company, so who will dare to go out in the future? Why are you like this? Yu Li's voice was filled with tears, I've been so worried these days that I didn't tell you anything. I just thought, don't make it difficult for you. I didn't expect that you would treat me like this. I'm so worried. I'm blind. If I had known it earlier, I should have told you the result as soon as possible, or in front of your wife. I want to see if she will still be devoted to you. You are such a person. Scum. Yu Li, how can you accuse someone with such red lips and white teeth? Lu Ziong looked angry, If this is anything else, just accuse me wrongly if you wrongly accuse me. How can this be done? How is my relationship with my wife? Everyone in the company doesn't know, right? I have never gotten too close to any of my female colleagues, just for fear of causing misunderstandings. I would like to ask you, what is the grudge between you and me? Are you going to harm me like this? My wife likes nothing more than strangers kissing my daughter on the mouth, but you prefer kissing her mouth to mouth. I think you are really good to my daughter, but you have been too embarrassed to point it out. For this reason, I specifically told my daughter not to tell my wife. As a result, my wife misunderstood me. Just after I cleared up the misunderstanding, you did it again. I really admire you. How can an unmarried eldest daughter joke about such a thing? Moreover, I am a man with a wife and children. How can I be worthy of you harming me like this? Did I hurt you? Yuli's voice suddenly increased. How on earth did I hurt you? Which woman have you ever seen who hurt her own belly when she hurt someone? You also know that I am not married, so why did you do such a thing that night? He also said that he would be responsible for me and asked me to wait until you settle the matter before marrying me. Which night? Lu Ziong looked at her indifferently. Since you must play this trick, okay, I will accompany you. On which night you say, I will find the time witness. If the time witness cannot be found, you must. I won't stop you from giving birth to a child. When the time comes, I will just do a paternity test. Even if doing such an appraisal will make me bankrupt, I will admit it. Yuli, let me tell you, I, Lu Ziong, am honest, but I am not a wimp, nor can I bully anyone who wants to. I just hope you can figure it out for yourself. An unmarried woman originally had a bright future, but her life was ruined because she had a child. Just don't regret it. I'm already like this, what else do I have to regret? Yuli said as she knelt down and cried loudly. If I had known you were such a person, I wouldn't have believed you at all. Wu. Chu Chun, this must be a misunderstanding. I'm 100% sure that there is absolutely nothing between her and me. Seeing Chu Chun's face getting more and more ugly standing at the door, Lin Chudong hurriedly stepped forward and spoke to her. He explained, you just said you believed me, but you can't go back on your word. I guarantee with my life that I was really wronged. While Lu Ziong was speaking, Yuli quickly stood up. She didn't expect there was anyone else in the room. She secretly tugged at the corner of her slightly wrinkled clothes and took a step forward. Are you Lin Chui's cousin? That's right. Chu Chun looked at her lightly. Any advice? No, no, Yuli waved her hands repeatedly. I'm just asking. You're not just asking. You're reminding me that I should tell my sister about this, right? Lin Chu Chun pouted at her. Be smart. You, what do you mean? You don't know what I mean, Lin Chu Chun snorted coldly. Originally, you didn't say that. I still believed a little bit of what you just said. Now, I don't believe it at all. You stop pretending, just tell me openly how much benefits you will receive from my aunt. Yuli's face suddenly changed, and she laughed. What are you talking about? How could I accept the benefits of your aunt? How can I, a worker, get involved with a farmer? If you have nothing to do with her, how do you know she is a farmer? It's a joke. Everyone knows that Lu Ziong found a wife from the countryside. Then his mother-in-law must also be a farmer. Even the stupidest person can understand this logic, right? Looking Lin Chu Chun up and down, Yuli chuckled. This matter is between me and your sister and brother-in-law. Don't mix it up, or you will get into trouble. Brother-in-law. Lin Chu Chun ignored her and looked directly at Lu Ziong. Don't worry, I believe you. What this woman said is all nonsense. My sister won't believe it. I hope. Lu Ziong smiled bitterly. With all her troubles, even I want to believe it myself, let alone your sister, haha. Crunch. The door opened and Chu Xia and Lin Chuo came in laughing. When they saw the people standing in the yard, they were both stunned. Then, Lin Chui's face darkened and she glared at Lu Ziong dissatisfied. "Daughter-in-law, please don't glare at me." After sighing, Lu Ziong still looked at Chuchun. "I don't seem to be very trustworthy when I speak for myself, so it's up to you to speak." You. Yu Li looked at Lin Chui blankly, as if she had seen a ghost. "Didn't you go to the capital? Why are you at home? This is my home. If I want to be at home, I will be at home. If I don't want to be at home, I will be at home. What does it have to do with you?" Lin Chui snorted coldly. "On the other hand, what did you do when you came to my house? I won't care about you kissing my daughter anymore, so don't push yourself too far. I am pregnant with your husband's child." "What? I'm pregnant with your husband's child?" After looking at Yu Li steadily for a few times, Lin Chui's lips turned into a smile. "It's getting more and more exciting." She looked at her husband. "How do you explain?" Lu Ziong knew his wife very well. The more she smiled calmly, it meant the angrier she was. If she really quarreled with you, it would be nothing, so he quickly said, "She framed me." "I prove it." Lin Chuchun raised her hand. "Sister Yuer, you have to believe me. From the moment this woman came in to now, I can clearly see everything she said and did. I suspect she is the uncle. Bought her off. My mother." A sarcastic smile appeared on Lin Chui's lips. "She is really my mother." She looked at Yu Li. "Okay, you can go, you are not welcome in our family. You must take responsibility for this matter." After quietly looking at Lu Ziong, Yu Li turned around and ran out of the yard after saying this. "I don't think it's the eldest uncle." Chu Xia, who had been silent all this time, frowned. "Sister Chui, you'd better check this matter carefully. If it was the eldest uncle who did it, what benefits could she get? This doesn't make sense." "Right. To be continued. First marriage then love." Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 1155. 1 Update. If you like to play and watch, come here. Besides my mother, I really can't think of anyone else. A sarcastic smile appeared on Lin Chui's lips. "She said it when I got married. If I don't listen to her, I will regret it sooner or later. Even if I cried and begged her, she wouldn't even look at me. She would curse me." After a long pause, she continued with a choked voice, "She said that sooner or later, Lu Ziong would find me." For other women, a few years have passed and Lu Ziong failed to do what she wanted, so she found a way on her own. So if it's her, what can't be justified? The question is, there is no undying hatred between you and my uncle. Does she need to do such a thankless thing? And how did she know Yu Li? Although the eldest uncle has a fierce temper, she doesn't go far away very much. If she really leaves her own little land, she can't wait to make everyone laugh at her expense. Sister Yuer thinks that she has the ability to go to the county to make such an arrangement?" Lu Ziong echoed. "Yes, Xia is right. My mother's temperament is that of a typical bastard. She is honest when she goes out. You ask her to run to the county, find Yu Li, and do something like this. The arrangement is really too difficult for her." "Yeah, how could I forget all of these?" Lin Chuchun patted his forehead hard and looked at Lin Chui apologetically. "Sister, I'm sorry, I seem to have misled you." After being silent for a long time, Lin Chui sighed. "When you say this, I don't think it's my mother's doing, but who else besides her? Anyway, the panic Yu Li showed just now shows that there must be someone behind the scenes, and that person knows our family quite well. Otherwise, Yu Li wouldn't be able to know my whereabouts so well. My parents have always liked you, and my eldest sister also likes you. It is impossible for them to do such a thing, and there are others." I thought for a while. Lu Ziong slapped his forehead fiercely. "This matter may still have something to do with your mother." "Why, Lin Chuiu looked at her husband with a puzzled face. Didn't you rule out my mother's suspicions? Why do you think it's related to her again? Lu Ziong reminded, have you forgotten who your parents' neighbor is? My parents' neighbor, thinking about it for a while. Lin Chuiu looked at her husband in disbelief. You mean my mother? Asked Aunt Lu. Fifth, Zheng Lanju. I think this possibility is very high. Aunt Lu and your mother are from the same village. Although they are not related to each other, they are similar in age. They had a good relationship when they were young. And when I wasn't on good terms with you, I had sex with Lu Lanhua from Aunt Liu's family, and the parents of both parties tacitly approved of it. Later, Uncle Lu became a formal worker and moved to the city. Aunt Liu's attitude changed, and Lu Lanhua and I broke up. No one expected that after we got married. My father was actually able to become a formal worker, and he also moved us both to the city. When we were divided into houses, he happened to be neighbors with Uncle Lu Wu, and my parents were particularly entangled. I was too embarrassed to ask for a change of leadership, so I bit the bullet and moved in. The two families have been getting along well over the years, but I believe Uncle Lu and Aunt Lu must be feeling uncomfortable. Originally, our family was so much worse than theirs, but now we are getting better and better. Their son is not a talented person, and his daughter is not. Marrying the wrong person, how do you think they feel? If my mother continues to instigate her, do you think Aunt Liu's temperament means we won't hit it off right away? Moreover, don't you think Aunt Lu has been running to her parents more frequently during this period? In the past, I would always turn away with a grimace when I saw you, but now it's better. I say hello warmly from afar, and even run to chat with my mother when nothing happens. My mother was still puzzled before, saying that Aunt Lu was eating something wrong. What medicine was given? Dad thought that they had something to ask for, and he specifically told me that if the Lu family asked me to do something, he would just tell them that I couldn't make the decision, and ask them to come to me and let me weigh it up, and I would be able to do it. If you can, you agree, and if you can't do it, you reject it outright, saying that you are a member of their family, and there is nothing to be ashamed of. What you said makes sense to me. Over the years since we have been married, Lu Lanhua has seen me as if she were an enemy, and I have become puzzled. It is obvious that she does not want you, and it is not me who has robbed her. Is there any need to look like that at me? Especially in the past 2 years, Lu Lanhua has been beaten home by her man every day. Seeing that our relationship is so good, she is probably going crazy with jealousy. Aunt Lu dotes on her so much. She doesn't need my mother to beg her, so she should be eager to hurry up. Tore us apart. No, Lin Chuiu frowned and looked at Lu Ziong. Is there a possibility that it has nothing to do with my mother at all, but that Aunt Lu and her family want us to separate? Just in time for Lu Lanhua to marry you, right? It is also possible, but it is unlikely. Uncle Lu and Aunt Lu are the kind of people who are particularly afraid of taking responsibility. They must have thought about various possibilities before doing it. They must have thought about the possibility like today. If they don't have someone to support them, they won't make up their minds. This can be seen from what happened to Lu Lanhua and me back then. In fact, they didn't agree with it at first, but before the matter of becoming a worker was finalized, they were afraid that Lu Lanhua wouldn't meet anyone else who was suitable, so they acquiesced to our relationship. As a result, when new opportunities arose, I immediately changed my attitude, but still wouldn't reject me personally. Instead, I was attacked by my dignity bit by bit, and eventually I was asked to break up with him. This is the way they do things for a lifetime, and it is impossible to change now. Lu Lanhua's personality is the same as theirs, so there is a 60% possibility that her mother-in-law is also involved in this matter. We still have to start with Uli Chu Xia looked at a few people seriously. Is she really pregnant? If it is true, who is the person who caused this result? As long as we check these once she came out, it would be impossible for her not to reveal the person behind it. Of course. After a pause, she continued, I also suspect another possibility, that is, Yuli was also plotted, but afterwards, she simply blamed her brother-in-law. Why is it so lively? Along with the voice, Luzixia opened the door and came in. She knew Chu-chun, but not Chu-xia, so she unconsciously looked at Chu-xia more, her eyes full of surprise. This beauty is the cousin you mentioned in early summer, right? Hello, Sister Zixia, I'm Lin Chuxia. Chuxia stood up and greeted Luzixia politely. Although it was the first time they met, she was shocked by Luzixia's hard and soft treatment of Lin Chudong a few days ago. But I had already heard Lin Chuio mention it, so I became a little more fond of this woman with a slightly aggressive personality, and inevitably became a little closer to her in attitude. Hello Chu Xia. Feeling the kindness of the other party, Luzixia took Chu Xia's hand affectionately. How can there be such a good-looking person in this world? I heard your sister say it before, and I was still skeptical. Now, it seems that not only is you not exaggerating, but she is underestimating it a bit. Sister Xia, if you praise me like this again, I won't be able to stay here any longer. Even though she was used to being praised by others, such a naked compliment in person still made Chu Xia unbearable and her face turned red. The base of the ear. I'm not complimenting you, I really mean it. Chu Xia became more and more uncomfortable, so Luzixia smiled and changed the subject. What were you talking about just now? Then she slapped her forehead fiercely. That's not right. Ah. Jia looked at Chu Xia with a worried look. Is your husband's family a little unhappy? No, no. Knowing that the other party had misunderstood, Chu Xia quickly explained, the people in my husband's family are very nice, and they are very supportive of relatives moving around. Then what? Luzixia looked at Lin Chuio in confusion, wondering why her siblings rushed back in such a hurry. Chuio rolled her eyes at Lu Ziong and said, ask your precious brother. Haven't my suspicions been cleared? Lu Ziong smiled helplessly. Don't you also believe that I was plotted against? Why do you still blame me? What happened? Luzixia frowned. Can you please be happy? Don't talk about nothing. Hey. Sighing, Lu Ziong recounted what happened before in detail, and finally spread his hands. We were solving the case when you came in. If you have any clues, please share your opinion. Okay, leave this matter to me to investigate, and you can just put your heart back in your stomach. Looking at her brother, Luzixia confirmed, you swear? Sister. Lu Ziong looked at his sister with a wry smile. Don't you know what my personality is like, your brother? It's so hurtful that you don't trust me. It's one thing for me to trust you, but it's another thing for you to trust you. If you don't have any guilt, why don't you dare to swear? Luzixia glared at him. Big man, what are you talking about? Come on. A little bit. I promise that the relationship between Yuli and me is absolutely innocent. If what I tell is a lie, I will never be able to see you and Mao Mao in my life, and I will be left alone in the house with my hands and feet broken. Die. You have always known what he fears most, do you believe it now? Luzixia looked at Lin Chuio and asked. Sister. Lin Chuio looked helpless. I believed him in the first place. I asked you to ask him because I was angry that he hid Yuli's kiss from Mao Mao from me and refused to let Mao Mao tell me. It hurt me. If I take it seriously, I'll run back and even drag Chu Xia and Chu Chun into messing around with me. This matter is indeed his fault, but our top priority now is not to settle this account with him, so. After thinking about it for a while, Luzixia looked at Lin Chuio. How about you go back to the capital first? Unfinished, to be continued. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 1156. Second update. Go back to the capital first. After a slight hesitation, Lin Chuyo responded, "Okay, I'll go back tomorrow." I didn't expect Lin Chuyo to be so happy. Lu Zixia looked at her with some surprise. "You don't want to know why I arranged this? Are you worried that I didn't want you to see something before I kicked you away?" "Sister." Lin Chuyo looked at her with a dark look, "We have known each other for a day or two. Can I not know your personality? Are you doubting my IQ by saying this?" "No, no," Lu Zixia waved her hands repeatedly, "I just think that based on the relationship between you and 11 Yang, you should want to stay and participate personally, haha." Lin Chuyo looked at her eldest aunt helplessly. "Sister, can you tell me whether you want me to participate or not? It's better not to get involved." Lu Zixia waved her hand, "You leave the capital to make it easier for you Li to show off. She is also timid. If you stay, it will affect her performance." "Okay, I listen to my sister." After a slight hesitation, Lin Chuyo asked, "Is there any movement over there at Lu Miking?" "I don't know." Lu Zixia shook her head, "I haven't asked yet, the 10-day period has only passed 3 days, why are you anxious? Moreover, this is not only my opportunity, but also Lu Miking's opportunity. If she wants to live with Lin Chudong wholeheartedly, then I will never think about it again in the future, and Lin Chudong will definitely treat her wholeheartedly. If she is the kind of woman who is fast and furious, all that was her fault, and she couldn't blame anyone, even if one day she begged for food on the street. I don't feel any pity for her. It just so happens that the two things have been done together. By the time you come back, everything should be almost settled. You can relax in the capital and wait to hear the good news I give you." "Okay, thank you for your hard work, sister." "Pull him down." "What are you talking about with me?" Lu Zixia rolled her eyes at her, then glared at her brother with a look of dissatisfaction on her face. "Although you have been wronged in this matter, don't feel that you have no responsibility at all. You and Yor have a good relationship, so let others know. Don't act like a boring gourd all day long. It's a good thing that Yor is generous to give those uneasy and well-intentioned people an opportunity, otherwise, I wouldn't have scratched your face." "Sister, you are being unreasonable. Yor and I have a good relationship. There is basically no one in our unit who doesn't know this. Is it possible? The first thing I do when I go to work every day is to announce to everyone that my wife is the best wife in the world. Yeah. I think that's okay." Lu Zixia smiled and nodded. "That way, if anyone has evil intentions, they have to think about what the chance of success is and what the chance of being scolded is. With a character like you Li's, absolutely I have the heart but also the courage." "Sister, don't you think I'm a piece of cake?" Lu Ziong looked helpless. "This kind of thing happening now is nothing more than the result of someone secretly causing trouble. Under normal circumstances, who would do this to me, a man with a wife and children showing off his attentiveness? How many more times do you want to do it? This time is enough to bear. In order to avoid future troubles, you must find a way. Otherwise, what if someone plots against you again? Sister, I have no money and no power, but my growth is average. Why do people plot against me every day?" Lu Zixia spread her hands. "Yeah, I'm wondering too, but the result is that people have plotted against you, and they even plotted against you to have a baby in your belly. Although I don't know if it's true or not, I can say it in front of so many people anyway. I guess it's very possible." "Sister." Lu Ziong's face turned black. "Is there such a sister?" After finally talking, everyone was no longer angry. "Why did she come back? Look at how petty you are. Do you think that not saying anything means that the matter does not exist? If there is nothing wrong in your heart, don't be afraid to mention it, understand?" Lu Zixia rolled her eyes at him. "I don't know what happened to you. The one who likes you is sticky and free-spirited when something happens, not manly at all. Sister, trust is not built by showing off to me. If you really want you to be happy, don't go back and forth on this matter. Okay, Lu Ziong gave her a respectful hand. Please count me on, sister. I'm too lazy to pay attention to you. I'm busy. Lu Zixia waved to everyone in the room and walked out. When she reached the door, she turned back and smiled at Lin Chuiu. Hurry up and leave early tomorrow morning. Don't miss me. Plan. Okay, Lin Chuiu agreed happily. Don't worry, sister, I won't regret it. Although she trusted Lu Ziong and Lu Zixia, Lin Chuiu never saw a smile on her face on the way out. No matter how much Chuxia and Chuchun teased her, she would always put on a fake smile to deal with it. Hey. Chu Xia looked at her helplessly. Sister, if you are worried and can't let go, don't agree to Sister Zixia, or you can pretend to leave and sneak back at night. He looked at the other party. Continued, if Sister Yue regrets her previous decision, we can send Sister Yue back now and live directly at Chuchun's place. No, Lin Chuiu shook her head, it's not that I don't believe them, I'm just thinking. She turned her head and looked out the window for a long time before continuing, what if it was really my mother who harmed her like this? From now on, I will really have no natal family, and I will really be cut off from that family. No matter what, they were once the closest people to me, my biological mother and my biological father. Even if they did not do well in the past, even if I am angry with them, I still can't help but think about them in my heart. Otherwise, I would never have returned to Dalian village after I got married. Although every time I went back, I would just take a quick look and leave in a hurry, or I wouldn't even go there and would just live in someone else's house. But the fundamental reason why I went back was indeed them. Watching them getting older year by year, watching my father become decadent because he failed to become the brigade party secretary, I can't hide the pain in my heart. If I had the ability to help him, I would have done it long ago. But now, if this matter really has something to do with my mother. She sneered twice, with tears in her eyes, I will never enter that door again in my life. I won't care about their life or death anymore. Holding the other person's hand comfortingly, Chu Xia didn't try to persuade Lin Chuiu anymore. If her own mother did such a thing, what should she do to persuade her? A tiger's poison does not eat its seeds, but she is fine. If she comes to harm her own daughter, is she still a human being? Such a natal family should be cut off even if they are reluctant to part with it. Otherwise, one day we don't know what crazy and uncontrollable things they will do. Seeing the group of people coming back so quickly, Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe also looked surprised. Uncle Baohe, Aunt Yulan, I have troubled you these past 2 days. Lin Chuiu smiled apologetically at the couple and looked around, where are the children? They're all asleep. Zhao Yulan smiled and shook her head, this is the first time that Nan Nan Bei has had so many children play with them when they have grown up. They don't even want to go to bed by themselves, and they force Mao Mao and Chuani are to go to bed. Drag it to the bedroom. As a result, the 4 children were kept company, and they all fell asleep after a while. No wonder people used to say that the more children you have, the easier it will be to take care of them. It is indeed true, if the older one takes care of the younger ones, doesn't it mean less worry? Aunt Yulan. Lin Chuiu looked at Zhao Yulan with a grateful face, you said this to reassure me. I understand that I don't know what my daughter's temperament is. How can she take care of a child? Nan Nan Bei has always been taking care of her, right? You are exaggerating. Nanan does take care of her, but Bei. Zhao Yulan couldn't help laughing as she said, he has to take care of Nanan himself, so how can he take care of others? Aunt Yulan, I want to go and see them first. Lin Chuiu said while looking at Chu Xia, Xia, I guess you are too worried about the north, south, north, and south. Let's go and see them together. Chu Xia nodded and looked at her mother, Mom, let's go see the children first and come back to talk to you. She can actually do such a thing. Zhao Yulan looked at Lin Chuiu in shock, you are, Are you sure you didn't misunderstand your mother? I can't be 100% sure now, because the matter is still under investigation, but it should be inseparable. My mother's character, haha. Lin Chihuo shook her head. In her eyes, she is probably the only one. On your own, as long as she feels that she has been humiliated, she will definitely find ways to make up for it. When I returned to my hometown this time, I ignored them. She asked someone to send me a message, but I didn't go there either. She probably held a grudge and made there's nothing strange about this happening. Hey. After sighing, Zhao Yulan didn't know what to say. She and Zheng Sanqiao had lived under the same roof for so many years, so how could she not know each other's temper? If she hadn't been so close and could see so clearly, she would have really doubted that there was a mother in the world who didn't care about her children. Although sometimes she showed concern for her children, it was all based on the same starting point. Plan your own future happiness. The days of worrying went by very slowly. 3 days later, Lin Chihuo was almost going crazy. On the 4th day, Lu Ziong's call to her finally made some real progress. Yu Li was indeed pregnant, but the father of the child was Lu Lanhua's younger brother Lu Langui, an incompetent second-rate man. This matter can be found out because Lu Langui said it himself. He didn't want to marry Uli, he just showed off his ability to his brothers and casually slept with a girl from the city. This kind of thing spreads absolutely fast. Before Lu Zixia could find out the news, Lu Ziong's ears were almost scratched by the news. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 1157. First update arrived. After confirming who the child in Yu Li's belly was, Lin Chihuo finally felt at peace. She believed in Lu Ziong, but before the matter came to light, she couldn't control her emotions at all. In the days that followed, she really put aside all the messy things at home. She went shopping and cooking with Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe every day, and went to the factory to get toys. During her break in early summer, she and a group of people took care of each other. Take the children to play everywhere. 5 days later, things finally came to light. The most pitiful one among them belongs to Li. She said that the child was Lu Ziong's, which was indeed blackmail, but in fact, she was also a victim. Many people in the factory knew that Yu Li liked Lu Ziong. The only one who was kept in the dark was probably Lu Ziong himself. Seeing this opportunity, Lu Jingui pretended to be Lu Ziong and wrote to Uli. He wrote a letter and asked her to meet in the West Warehouse at 9 o'clock in the evening. In order to impersonate Lu Ziong, Lu Jingui practiced according to his calligraphy for a long time. Therefore, even Yu Li, who was very concerned about everything about Lu Ziong, was deceived by him. The lights in the West Warehouse were not turned on. Yu Li thought that this was why Lu Ziong asked her out, so she blushed and let the other party move his hands up and down. Someone happened to be unloading goods outside, so she took the other party's silence as a matter of course. Afterwards, Yu Li always thought that the person that night was Lu Ziong. She waited anxiously for the other party to say something to her plus, W down right arrow WW. As a result, after waiting for many days, the other party made no movement at all. No. Just when she was thinking about a showdown with Lu Ziong, Lu Jingui came to her door. He said that he found out about her and Lu Ziong that night and wanted to report her. If this kind of thing is really reported, the consequences will be absolutely disastrous. From the initial denial to being unable to refute later, Yu Li had no choice but to beg in every possible way, hoping that Lu Jingui would let her go. Lu Jingui made an unreasonable request, and Yu Li was naturally unwilling. Then don't blame me for being rude. Lu Jingui said this. After completely defeating Yu Li, she followed the other party's wishes. Then, every now and then, Lu Jingui forced her to do things she didn't want to do. Until she found out she was pregnant, she was so frightened that she asked Lu Jingui what to do. "What should I do?" "Just give birth," Lu Jingui said with a playful smile. "Born to?" Yuli immediately rejected it. She herself was not sure whose the child belonged to. "What happened after you were born?" She simply couldn't believe someone like Lu Jingui. If she really gave birth to a child according to his will, he would not care about it, and would continue to blackmail her. As long as she thought about that kind of life, she would feel that life would be worse than death. Then, Lu Jingui gave her advice and did not want to marry him. He went to Lu Xiang to take responsibility. He would not expose her and said that when she got married, he would stop harassing her. For Li, such a request was a temptation to make a date. She immediately agreed and came to see Lu Xiang. It was precisely because she was not sure who the child belonged to that she panicked when she was questioned. It wasn't until she found out what happened that Yuli realized that it was Lu Jingui who had done such unbearable things to her from beginning to end, and Lu Xiang didn't even touch her with a finger. Unable to bear the blow, she committed suicide, but was saved. Because of this, her pregnancy was exposed. An investigation by the work unit naturally got to the bottom of the matter. Lu Jingui was fired. And Yuli was also fired. Although she is a victim, her original intention was to break up other people's families, which is absolutely unforgivable. As for how the two of them choose in the future, that is their business, and the leaders will not care. Speaking of this, it seems that it is just a matter between Lu Jingui and Yuli, but in fact, there are several real promoters behind Lu Jingui, Zheng Sanqiao, Ant Lu Wang and Lu Lanhua. The goals of these people are very consistent. Lu Lanhua's marriage to her husband had come to an end, and she needed to find a good home for herself. Thinking of how considerate Lu Xiang had been to her, and looking at Lin Chui's current life, she was very reluctant. It happened that at this time, Aunt Lu met Zheng Sanqiao when she returned to her parents' home. She was full of complaints when it came to her children's marriage. Then, with an idea, Zheng Sanqiao asked Aunt Lu to destroy her daughter's family. Just in time, Lu Lanhua could also use this to get what she wanted. The two hit it off and settled the matter. The specific operations were agreed upon by Aunt Lu and Lu Lanhua. During the process, Lu Lanhua tried to get close to Lu Xiang, but found that the other party did not accept the move at all. It was also at this time that she discovered Yuli's love for Lu Xiang. And close. Then, she thought of asking her brother to accept the other party, which could not only eliminate her love rival, but also destroy Lu Xiang's family, so that she could get what she wanted. She simply wanted to applaud her for coming up with this idea. Lu Langui was basically a second-rate man. He really couldn't bear it when his sister asked him to do such a thing. At first, he thought about getting Yu Tao to like him by getting close to him, but it turned out that she didn't even look at him. Therefore, he chose Li Tao to replace Zhang. Later, he did not insist on marrying Yu Li, not because he really planned to let her go, but because he planned that even if Lu Xiang was coerced by Yu Li, he would secretly reveal the truth to Lu Xiang. In the end, Yu Li still his. He helped his sister and got the daughter-in-law he wanted, why wouldn't he? A dirty deal was born in the thinking of several people. And in the end, everything that was destroyed was our own fault. Lu Langui was arrested 2 days after returning home. Because his behavior was suspected of rape, and the facts had been found out, it was useless for him to argue. The result was that he was sentenced to 5 years, which was to be executed immediately. Yu Li was not imprisoned, but as an unmarried girl, she became pregnant before marriage, which had already brought disgrace to her grandmother's family. Her family was afraid that she would affect her younger brother's marriage, so they hastily married her off to a rural elder. Single. After experiencing all this, Yu Li was already despairing, so she did not resist the arrangements of her parents' family. Lu Lanhua was the mastermind behind Lu Langui's incident. Lu Langui was sentenced, so she could not escape unscathed. Divorce and 2 years in prison were her punishment. When things got to this point, Aunt Lu became angry and went to find Zheng Sanqiao, who had initially reached an agreement with her. How come her 2 children were in jail, but nothing happened to Zheng Sanqiao? At this time, Zheng Sanqiao did not acknowledge the agreement he had made with the other party at all. If you have the ability, you can provide evidence and talk nonsense with red lips and white teeth. Who can't? After going back and forth, Zheng Sanqiao just said this one sentence. Aunt Lu Wu couldn't do anything about her, so she went to Lu Ziong and reported his mother-in-law's evil deeds to him. The purpose was obviously clear. My sister had already investigated this matter clearly. Lu Ziong was neither shocked nor angry. In fact, he had already been shocked and had calmed down. Aunt Lu was very angry at Lu Ziong's behavior and refused to do anything. She sued Zheng Sanqiao on the premise of getting herself involved. When a summons was sent to Zheng Sanqiao, she was frightened. When facing Aunt Lu, she can keep her face straight and speak eloquently. However, when facing people with the title of official, she is intimidated. This is exactly what Chu Xia and others said. She is a tiger at home and a tiger when going out. Just become a cat? Go to Denier, go to Chu Xia. In the end, it was Lin Beijiang who gave the idea. Even if he was angry again, he wouldn't see his own mother get into trouble, right? Her husband's words reminded Zheng Sanqiao, and she bought a ticket and ran to the capital that day. She didn't know Chu Xia's address in Beijing, but she knew that Chu Xia was studying at the medical university. So, on this day, Chu Xia was still in class, and Xiao Zhang from the reception room came and said that an important relative was looking for her at the door. He said that if she could not be found again, a life-threatening lawsuit would be filed, for fear of being misled. When the matter was over, he came over immediately to convey the news. When she saw Zheng Sanqiao standing at the door with a disgraced face, Chu Xia's eyes showed a trace of disgust. Is such a person worthy of being a mother? Now, do you still have the nerve to come here? Xia. Zheng Sanqiao stepped forward and grabbed Chu Xia's sleeve as if he saw a savior. It's so hard for my aunt to look for you. If I can't find you again, my aunt will really starve to death. Xia, your eldest sister is here with you, right? You have something to do with her. Chu Xia looked at her indifferently. The aunt is plotting against the eldest brother-in-law and wants to break up the eldest sister and the eldest brother-in-law. Is it because you are looking for the eldest sister now to show off? Xia. Zheng Sanqiao slapped her face and sat down on the ground with a plop. Aren't you just confused for a moment? Besides, you don't really want to break them up, you just want to see Lu 11. This man can't resist temptation. When your eldest sister married him, your aunt felt that he was unreliable. Although nothing has happened to him in the past few years, who can guarantee that he won't do it again in the future? For this kind of thing, it is better to get out early than to get out later. When a woman is in her 30s or 40s, raising a child and wanting to marry a good man is simply a dream. The aunt does not want your eldest sister to end up in that situation one day, so she wants to. I came up with this idea. If Lu Ziong passes the test, then I will feel relieved in the future. Regardless of whether your eldest sister comes back or not, she is still my daughter, and I will care about her the same. Oh, Chu Xia nodded. I understand. I will tell the eldest sister these words. If nothing happens, I will go back to class. If the aunt is hungry, just go ahead and turn right to buy a bun to eat. As he spoke, he took out a few cents from his pocket and said, the aunt has come all the way. I should treat the aunt to a few buns. They cost a dime each. 5 of them should be enough for the aunt. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 1158. Second update. Xia. Zheng Sanqiao grabbed Chu Xia's trouser legs and moved forward a few steps. You can't just ignore death. I beg you, auntie, because you have lived under our same roof for so many years, son, you can't just leave your auntie behind. An old woman in her 50s, dressed in rags, dragged a beautiful woman in her 20s, which immediately attracted the attention of passers-by. After listening to Zheng Sanqiao's words, many people felt that they were telling the truth. Hey, people are like this. After they have mixed up, they don't want to deal with poor relatives. Yes, if there is a way, who would be willing to ask for help? Who says it's not the case? If it weren't for the trouble, no one would be so shameless as to beg a junior. Why don't you ask the Lord? You can't tell. He probably couldn't find a home, but he knew that the child from that family was in this school, so he shamelessly found him. Oh, this kind of family is too much. They shouldn't be allowed to live a good life and forget their roots. Listening to the comments around her, Zheng Sanqiao's eyes lit up. She knew that her appearance would definitely arouse sympathy. For the sake of face, Chu Xia would never dare to leave her like this. Unfortunately, when she was distracted, Chu Xia had already walked into the campus, leaving a group of people standing there looking at her like a poor kitten equals. At this time, there was a gray-haired old lady walked towards Zheng Sanqiao. Sister, get up quickly. If you have any difficulties, tell me if you can help me. I will not push back. Who can help her? Zheng Sanqiao raised her dirty face and squeezed out 2 tears. Sister, you look like a kind-hearted bodhisattva, but no one else can help me with this matter. The person who came in just now was my niece, when her family was poor. We lived in an ancestral house. Later, the child found a good husband. Her parents came to enjoy the blessing together. We, our poor relatives, are no longer looked upon. This time, it was my family members who got into prison cases. Otherwise, I won't go all the way to beg them, hey. With a heavy sigh, Zheng Sanqiao sat on the ground slumped, motionless. Why did you get involved in a lawsuit? The old lady sighed. Kneeling next to her, if it's something else, I don't dare to vouch for it, this kind of thing. I can really help you, my son is in the official field. As long as your family has been wronged, he can 100% clear your name. Old sister, I'm so embarrassed to bother you. Zheng Sanqiao's face flushed and she waved her hands. We don't know each other, how can I be embarrassed to acknowledge your great affection? I accept your wishes, but forget about this matter. Of course I hope that my family will be safe, but it is natural for my relatives to help. Who am I to ask you to help? If possible, Zheng Sanqiao would like someone to help. However, he knows his own affairs. If he really asks the old lady for help, when people find out the truth of the matter, she will never be left behind. So, this matter is nothing can be left to the old lady's hands. You see, you are just out of touch, right? For me, this is a simple matter, why bother? And my son is also a filial son. If I ask him to help, he will never dare to help. After a pause, the old lady said again, Sister, can you tell me first what's going on? Let me have an idea. It's really complicated for me to talk about this. Sighing, Zheng Sanqiao began to tell half-truths and half-falsehoods. I have a daughter who fell in love with her husband's family. Neither her father nor I agreed, but she herself she had to get married, and she had no choice but to let her go. When a girl marries her daughter, she has to receive a betrothal gift. Our family not only took away half of the money, but also put a lot of dowry on it. We originally hoped that the 2 children would see each other and live a good life. When my daughter married my son-in-law, my son-in-law's family was also very poor. As a result, not long after my daughter married, the whole family had good luck and life became better and better. As parents, we all hope that our children will live well. Watching our daughter transform from a rural person to a city dweller, from a farmer to a worker, her father and I couldn't be more happy. As a result, at this time, there was that restless woman who took a fancy to my son-in-law and wanted to separate my daughter and my son-in-law. One of them was my good sister when I was my daughter. There was a daughter in her family who had sex with my son-in-law. Later, her family settled down and she did not agree with the two children's relationship. Then, my son-in-law found my daughter. As a result, her daughter did not live well after getting married. She put the idea on my son-in-law's head. They arranged for a woman to deliberately seduce my son-in-law. In order to achieve her goal, she also asked her son to rape a woman in the factory who liked my son-in-law. Then, both her son and her daughter went to jail, and she actually took out her anger on me, thinking that it was my daughter who let her daughter in, so she couldn't make it easy for me. She had to say that I arranged for their mothers to do that. Old sister, you think I, a mother, could possibly plot against my daughter like that, right? How can you use a negative sentence? Along with the voice, Lin Chihuahua walked over with a sullen face. Mom, is the acting here? If I say I won't help you now, are you going to say that I am married? You married a good family, and you didn't want your mother's family to take advantage of it, so you deliberately didn't help. You were. Zheng Sanqiao wailed in a cover-up manner. Mother knows that you hate mother, but it's come to this point. Can you stop fighting with mother? If this continues, mother will go to jail. Go on, didn't you earn that yourself? Lin Chihuahua snorted coldly, frowning. I don't understand, how can you be so thick-skinned to talk nonsense here that confuses right and wrong? My child, is she your mother? The old lady looked at Lin Chihuahua and asked. Yes, Lin Chihuahua nodded at the other party. Auntie, I know you mean well, but people like my mother are really not worthy of your help. Some of what she just said is indeed true. But most of them are fake. She didn't like the family I chose because my husband's family was poor at the time and couldn't give her the gift she wanted. When I got married, she bankrupted everything I wanted from my husband's family. Because of this, when I got married, I cut off all contact with her. It wasn't that I was cruel, it was that she was too much and didn't treat me as a daughter at all, and she drove me to death. In order to prevent her from being driven to death, I can only stay away from her. A few days ago, my second uncle's family returned to their hometown. I went over to take a look. She and my second uncle's family had had a quarrel before. She knew they had no place to live, so she even kicked them out. If it hadn't been for my cousin, my brother-in-law took the opportunity to help my cousin and his family tide over the difficulties. At this moment, my second uncle and his family are still living in that dark and damp little earthen house. She herself has offended everyone, and she still thinks that when people get rich, they will help her live a good life. How is this possible? Giving and receiving between people are mutual, how can it be so one-sided? When she couldn't get what she wanted, she held a grudge and tried to destroy the relationship between me and my husband. The purpose was to let me know that she was right in the beginning. It's true that her good sister's daughter has a crush on my man, and it's true that they joined forces to plot against my man, but the mastermind in this is her. Pointing to Zheng Sanqiao, who was looking at her with an angry expression, Lin Chihuahua sighed. Mom, why do you always think that anyone should be nice to you? You know, if this matter is really investigated clearly, the length of the sentence will definitely be the heaviest. At the same time, you should be glad that Lu Langui is an adult, otherwise, you will be waiting to be jailed. Is what she said true? The old lady looked at Zheng Sanqiao, who was sitting on the ground with a face full of resentment, with disbelief. Is this girl really your daughter? Have you really harmed her? Old sister, do I still have the right to speak now? Zheng Sanqiao grimaced, letting tears roll down her face. My daughter has said this, if I say anything else, wouldn't I be sincerely trying to tear her down? Forget it, this is my life, I admit it, sister, Thank you for helping me just now, you are such a good person, I will remember you in my life. The old lady looked at Zheng Sanqiao with a confused look on her face. She didn't know whether to believe her or not. From a visual point of view, she was inclined to believe Zheng Sanqiao. Looking at her current rags, she was really pitiful. However, Lin Chui's words were well-founded, and Zheng Sanqiao didn't offer a single word of defense for what she said. Although he said he didn't defend himself in order to fulfill his daughter's needs, was it credible? Oh, Grandma, why are you here? The old lady was hesitating when a woman in her early 20s ran over quickly and hugged the old lady's arm affectionately. I haven't seen you for only 3 days, and Grandma already misses me. That's right. The old lady smiled at her granddaughter, pointed at Zheng Sanqiao on the floor and said, Bing you are smarter than Grandma. Something bad happened to this aunt. Listen to her. Say, let's see if we can help her and see if it's worth it, okay? You finally admit that I am smarter than you. The girl smiled at Zheng Sanqiao. Hello, my name is Zhao Bingbing. If you can, please tell me the story again, okay? Zheng Sanqiao said what he just said again. Sister, what do you say? Zhao Bingbing looked at Lin Chuiu again. If you are willing to help her, I won't stop you. As for what happened, I don't want to talk about it again. I believe no one wants to stop this kind of embarrassing thing in front of outsiders over and over again. I'm sorry, he nodded to a few people. Lin Chuiu turned around and left. Originally, she planned to come to Chuxia to discuss when to go back, but now, she was not in the mood at all. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 1159. 1 Update. Stop, Zhao Bingbing took a step forward and grabbed Lin Chuiu's arm. Let's not say whether I believe you or your mother. Just look at her current state, and you know she must have suffered a lot to find her way here. You are here as a daughter, don't you feel any distress at all? I really want to feel sorry for her. I also felt sorry for her before, but... A bitter smile appeared on the corner of her lips, and Lin Chuiu sighed. After she sold me, she cursed me that one day my husband and wife would be separated. When that happened, I couldn't feel sorry for her anymore. You girl, if you don't want to care about me, just leave it alone. How can you say that to me? Zheng Sanqiao sat on the ground and cried loudly. Everyone has eyes. Look at my appearance now, and then look at you. At this moment, you think if I really sell you, how can I live like this? How can you live like that? Yes. Zhao Bingbing looked at Lin Chuiu doubtfully. Sister, I can see from what you are wearing and your complexion that you are living a very good life, but this aunt is so miserable. Awful. Even if she asked for a bride price when you got married, or you had a bad fight, she is your biological mother after all. Now that she has ended up like this, and you happen to be capable, why can't you put aside your prejudices and give her a hand? Is there any unsolvable grudge between relatives? My mother and I always quarreled, and she scolded me very harshly when she got angry. Every time I vowed to ignore her again, but when I turned around and lost my anger, I looked at her and still said, "WWW very dear." And my mother is also a bit indifferent when she is angry. But afterwards, I felt very regretful and always thought of various ways to please me. Make me something delicious. It's not that I don't want to help this aunt, I just think that the aunt is definitely expecting you to help her. When the time comes, it will bring honor to her relatives and neighbors, right? People of their age are like this, they have to lose face. As he said that, Zhao Bingbing took Lin Chuiu's arm affectionately. Sister, calm down, okay? My situation is different from yours. I could see that Zhao Bingbing was not malicious. Lin Chuiu's tone became gentler. Thank you for your willingness to deal with our mother and daughter even though we don't know each other. However, the matter between her and I really cannot be resolved by resolving it. Of. It is true that she is my biological mother, it is true that she sold me back then, and it is true that she is now teaming up with outsiders to plot against my husband and trying to get me divorced. Between you and your mother, it is a small conflict in getting along. As long as both of you feel sorry for each other, it is easy to resolve it. But my mother? In her heart, I am not her daughter at all. Even if I die in front of her now, she doesn't feel the least bit sad in her heart. The only thing she loves most is herself. My brother and I are just the guarantee for her old age. It's just that, with me, she wanted to take everything away once and for all, but with my brother, she waited until she was older to pile it all on him. In our family, she planned to break up the family. Sister, think about it for a moment, if your mother did this to you, what would you do now? As for the jail sentence she mentioned, if I hadn't thought of her as my mother and didn't let my husband pursue her, would she still be here now? Ah. You, what do you mean? Zheng Sanqiao got up from the ground. What do you mean by what you just said? It means that the Lu family lied to me, right? Zhao Bingbing was just kind-hearted, not stupid. Now she saw Zheng Sanqiao's behavior and understood what was going on. Then she sighed and looked at Lin Chuiu apologetically. I'm sorry, sister, it's me who is meddling in other people's business now. He walked to Mrs. Zhao and took her arm. Grandma, my mother is right, we can't meddle in other people's business, it will definitely be wrong. Hey. The old lady sighed and shook her head. This person shook her head again. She's really good at pretending. Looking at her just now, I thought she was really pitiful. Hey. If you don't really want to be imprisoned, go home now and live your life peacefully. Don't come looking for your second uncle or aunt again, let alone Chu Xia. Otherwise, Lin Chuiu was stubborn. He stared at Zheng Sanqiao and said nothing further. Okay, I'll go back. Zheng Sanqiao patted the dirt on her butt and looked at Lin Chuiu with a begging look on her face. Your mother can't go back now even if she wants to, otherwise let your mother stay at your second uncle's house for one night, and then go to the train station to buy a ticket and go back tomorrow morning, okay? Mom promises you that she will never ask your uncle or aunt for any needles, threads or brains, and she will never cause them any trouble. Also, Zheng Sanqiao turned out all the pockets of her clothes. Mother's body is really beautiful. We don't have any money. Why don't you vote for your mother? Closing her eyes and sighing heavily, Lin Chuiu nodded. Okay, I'll give you a ticket, but you can't stay at the second uncle and second aunt's house. You can go to the train station and stay in a hotel. I'll give you money. As he spoke, he took money from his pocket. Taking out money from inside and outside, she made up her mind not to let Zheng Sanqiao know where Chu Xia's family lived. Otherwise, if Zheng Sanqiao came over again one day because of a fit, it would really cause trouble for her second uncle and her second aunt's family. The second aunt was so kind to her, both in the past and even more so now. She would never retaliate for kindness. Zheng Sanqiao looked at Lin Chuiu bitterly. Mom will definitely not cause trouble to your second uncle's family. Don't let me go to the station to live on my own, okay? Look at how dirty my body is. Even when I got out of the car, a thief chased me away and took away my bag. Otherwise, how could my mother not have a penny on her body? She has admitted her mistake. Let her stay for one night. That's right, at such an old age, no matter how wrong you are still your mother. If something happens, you will definitely regret it for the rest of your life. That's right, don't you think when you are young, there are some things you will really regret later? The crowd of onlookers began to chatter again. When she came out in early summer, she saw a scene like this. She stroked her forehead speechlessly. People in this era are like this, they are enthusiastic, but sometimes they really do bad things. People always sympathize with the weak, but sometimes, when you seem to think that the other person is weak, you may not be right. If Zheng Sanqiao is weak, then they, haha. Sister, let's go. Chuxia stepped forward and took Lin Chui's arm, and glanced at Zheng Sanqiao lightly. You don't need to beg, Sister Chuia. My home is my home. It's useless if I don't agree with her. Lin Chuxia, Zhao Bingbing, who was holding Mrs. Zhao's arm and standing aside, looked at Chuxia with some research. Are you the Lin Chuia who didn't even need to be downgraded to a lower level after giving birth? Yes, it's me. Chuxia looked at her lightly. Any advice? No, no, I just admire your name for a long time. Zhao Bingbing smiled and waved her hands. You and I are not from the same department. I always hear others mention it, but I have never met you. I have long heard that you are so beautiful. When we met today, it turns out that your reputation is well deserved. No wonder you were able to get married without going to school and find such a good husband. Is this a compliment or a derogation? Chuxia looked at the other party with a dark look. I have heard of your name a long time ago, and I have admired your kindness for a long time. Zhao Bingbing's face turned red. Can you not mention that I cried for a whole class over a dissected rabbit? It's so embarrassing. Chuxia spread her hands. I didn't mention it. Bingbing. Mrs. Zhao looked her granddaughter up and down. Didn't you say that you dare to go into battle yourself? Zhao Bingbing blushed. Aren't I afraid that my mother and father won't let me continue studying here? But it's coming soon. I'm much braver now than before. Nothing else, let's go. They were all classmates, so Chuxia was very considerate and asked each other. Okay, I'm sorry for delaying your return home. Zhao Bingbing waved her hands repeatedly and said, well, can Grandma and I go to your house to sit for a while? Mrs. Zhao pinched her granddaughter's arm. Bingbing, this is so rude. How can I make friends if I don't have a thick skin? Zhao Bingbing smiled coquettishly at Chuxia. If it's inconvenient, you can just refuse me. However, I still hope you can agree to me. He said. She slapped her forehead fiercely. By the way, my sister is also a military doctor. She and your husband should be on a mission together now. Do you want to hear me talk to you about things there? Chuxia shook her head helplessly. If you say it like this, it doesn't mean you want me to agree. It doesn't matter if I don't agree. Just agree, as if I don't believe my husband and want to get information from you. If you don't agree, it will seem like I don't care about me husband. Hey. Zhao Bingbing looked apologetic for a moment. I'm sorry, I really didn't mean to. I just really wanted to visit your home. I want to go too. Zheng Sanqiao said as he shrank behind Mrs. Zhao, with a pitiful look on his face. I really have no place to live, and I'm really afraid of being robbed again. I will go there early tomorrow morning. Just leave. Obviously, she had spotted the soft-heartedness of the Zhao family's ancestors and grandsons, and wanted them to speak for her. Unfortunately, she really made the wrong bet this time. As soon as she finished speaking, Zhao Bingbing curled her lips and glared at her. This auntie, you just lied to my grandma and you lied to me. We haven't settled the accounts with you yet, and now you want to use us to achieve your wishes. How shameless. Does anyone else pity her? Chuxia looked at the people gathered around to watch the fun. Every family has its own difficulties, and not everyone dislikes poor relatives. They always want to take advantage of themselves because they are weak. It's okay. If everyone agrees with what I said, let's break up. We have to go home. Or, if anyone wants to take this aunt home to stay for one night, I don't have any objection. As soon as Chuxia finished speaking, the people in the circle quickly dispersed. It was a joke, things were so clear, who would be too full to mind such nosy matters? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 1160. Second update. I really don't know how to go. Seeing that the kidnapping by public opinion had lost its effect, Zheng Sanqiao panicked and grabbed Chu Xia's sleeves, tears rolling down her cheeks. Yesterday we have arrived in the capital. It took me more than a day to find this place. It's already this hour and it will be dark before I can find out where it is. What should I do? Are you sometimes afraid? Chu Xia looked at her indifferently. Sister Chu Yu is your biological daughter, how could you do such a thing? Tiger poison doesn't even eat its seeds, how about you? Why do you have the nerve to come in front of us? To pretend to be pitiful? Okay, even if you are not pretending to be pitiful, but it is true, then who can you blame? Didn't you ask for it? Every time you do something wrong, you just cry, make trouble, and hang yourself, and you always get what you want. You're used to it, right? Okay, I'll take pity on you one last time. Zheng Sanqiao, who was crying, immediately stopped crying and was filled with joy. Without waiting for her to speak, Chu Xia said again, I will ask Uncle Wang to take you to the train station, the hotel has also arranged it for you, just wait here. Xia. Zheng Sanqiao pulled Chu Xia's sleeves tightly, I promise, even if I know where your home is, I will never come to see you again. Can you let me stay today? After all, I came to the capital once, and I have to. She pointed to the clothes on her body, I have to clean up before going back, otherwise, the people in the village won't know what to say. Looking at Zheng Sanqiao's appearance, she looked really disgraceful. Those who didn't know better thought she was coming to the city to beg for food. She really lost all face when she returned like this. Although Chu Xia didn't care whether she had any dignity or not, she was from the same village after all, and she was the closest relative. If she was allowed to go back like this, her parents would be unavoidable if others didn't blame her. People are like this. Although they know who is right and who is wrong, they will definitely lack tolerance and understanding for the lucky one. Okay, let's go. In the end, Chu Xia chose to let the other party go home with her. In fact, her previous attitude was so determined to get rid of Zheng Sanqiao's idea. This is the case with people like Zheng Sanqiao. The more you make her happy, the more she will not take it seriously. She will do the same thing next time. After a few more times, it will really become a habit. But now, after going through twists and turns to really get her wish, she would suppress those thoughts that she shouldn't have and obey the arrangements honestly. Sure enough, when she heard that Chu Xia had agreed to let her live there, Zheng Sanqiao was so happy that she couldn't close her mouth. She kept saying words of gratitude along the way. In order to gain Chu Xia's favor, she even took the initiative to talk to Mrs. Zhao Bingbing. In the past, she had done things that did not care about love, and she kept lamenting how generous and tolerant Chu Xia's family was. Mrs. Zhao and Zhao Bingbing have both seen Zheng Sanqiao's character and have a brief understanding of her character. Now hearing her praise Chu Xia so much, they don't think it is too distorted. The grandfather and grandson have never been in contact with each other. At this time, I was listening to such people and things with great interest as if I were listening to storytelling. From time to time, I would ask a few questions, and Zheng Sanqiao would talk even more enthusiastically. Lin Chuyo's face turned red. She really made her mother lose her face. There are probably not many people like her mother in the world who talk about their shortcomings as their advantages. However, Chu Xia had already agreed to let the other party stay for one night, so she would naturally not object. Presumably, under Chu Xia's intimidation, her mother would not dare to come over rashly in the future. Furthermore, although she said she wanted Zheng Sanqiao to stay at the hotel, how could she really rest assured? A troubled person like Zheng Sanqiao, when she gets to a big city, she will just have her teeth and hair removed. She is almost useless. If something happens to her then, she will really be in trouble for the rest of her life. We all have to live in regret. Regarding Zheng Sanqiao's arrival, Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe both looked surprised. Chu Xia first introduced Mrs. Zhao and Zhao Bingbing to them. After everyone said hello and sat down, he told what Zheng Sanqiao had done today. Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan, who originally thought that their daughter had accepted Zheng Sanqiao, looked at Zheng Sanqiao with obviously cold eyes after hearing this. Such a woman is not worthy of being a mother at all. Second brother, second younger brother and sister. Lin Baohe waved his hand at her. Don't be so polite, just call us Baohe Magnolia. There is no relationship between us at all. We have made it clear before, so it is better to change the title. Zhao Yulan immediately agreed, that is, we have broken away from the Lin family in Dalian village, so we can no longer be so confused. From now on, we are just people from the same village. You and Zhao Yushan are older than us, so we will shout you brothers and sisters-in-law. As for us, just call us by our names. We really can't afford to call you anything else. At this time, the two old ladies Zhao were already chatting very passionately. Zhao Bingbing sat aside and looked at her grandma helplessly. She was so in need of friends. As soon as she entered the door, she held her hand and made love to her. Calling my sister. Place her in the second west room. Lin Chuiao looked at Chu Xia and asked, she happens to live next to me. Good. Come with me. Lin Chuiao pulled Zheng Sanqiao, who was sitting there in a daze. Go back to your room and stay there, no one wants to see you, you should know that. I want to see the north, south, and north before entering the house. Zheng Sanqiao looked at Chu Xia inquiringly, are they sleeping? No, they go to visit some grandparents' houses every afternoon. They probably won't be able to come back for a while. What Chu Xia said was very clear, but Zheng Sanqiao still sat there pretending to be confused. She finally came, and she was really unwilling to miss it like this. Although she had promised just now that she would not trouble them again in the future, she would no longer be Zheng Sanqiao if she didn't make a few more efforts when given the opportunity. It's a pity that no one paid any attention to her despite her nice words. In the end, she just went back to her room in despair. My child, you are pitiful too, with a mother like this. Zhao Bingbing's grandma looked back at Lin Chuiao with an apologetic look on her face. If I had known she was like this, I would have never meddled in her own business. Mainly because I went to the countryside back then, so I have a special affection for farmers. When I saw her wearing rags and looking dusty, I immediately felt uncomfortable. Alas, but I didn't think about it, people are different. Grandma Zhao, this shows that you are a kind-hearted person, so don't blame yourself. Lin Chuiao smiled at her. Actually, that's what I said at the time. If she really leaves, I will definitely not. Don't worry, even if I don't show up, I will definitely follow her to the train station secretly. Speaking of which, it's your help that saves me a lot of trouble. I should thank you. Look, sister, you and I are still outsiders. Aren't you just afraid of not agreeing with me, so you act so resolutely? Chu Xia laughed. If I hadn't come out in time, sister Yu would not have known where she was at this moment. Which path is on, but the question is, have you ever thought about what we would do if you followed us? Should we worry to death? It would be a joke if we reported the case because of this. Hee hee. Lin Chuiao smiled coquettishly. After all, it's not my home. Even if I'm not a layman, I can't decide this kind of thing privately. You are protected by your mother-in-law's family. How can I not do it? Shamelessly joining in the fun. Forget it, I'm too lazy to tell you this. Chu Xia rolled her eyes at her and looked at Zhao Bingbing. Would you like to sit in my room for a while? Seeing that Grandma Zhao and my grandma are chatting quite speculatively, there's nothing wrong with you. Don't worry, let's go. Okay. Zhao Bingbing stood up happily and followed Chu Xia to the room. As he walked, he muttered, "Your sons will be back soon and they want me to hug them. I haven't hugged the twin boys yet." "Okay, this is no problem. Actually." After entering the room and sitting down, Zhao Bingbing looked at Chu Xia with an apologetic look. "I'm not very clear about the mission. I just wanted to make friends with you, so I said that." "I'm sorry." "Ha. I didn't come here to hear you tell me the news. I just saw that you were bored and couldn't get a word in, so I brought you here. Moreover, judging from your appearance, you must have something to say to me. Otherwise, there is no point in coming home with me and throwing out such bait, right? No wonder your grades are so good." Zhao Bingbing sighed. "Yes, I do have something to say to you, but I have to declare first that I am not telling you this for your sake, I am just for your own sake." I just said it out loud. "Okay, tell me." "As far as I know, your husband and my cousin are currently on a mission in the same place. My cousin is prettier and smarter than me. For the sake of your family's stability, you have to remind your husband not to fall in love with me." "My cousin's fault. I used to have a boyfriend who was very well off and good looking. We were both talking about marriage, but Zhao Weiwei snatched him away. Then when she robbed Lang Yi, she had a boyfriend, and they were already engaged. She would always drag us out together, saying it was convenient for the two of us to go shopping together. I really believed her and told her everything. But one day, Lang Yi told me that he wanted to break up with me. He said with an apologetic expression that he had fallen in love with Zhao Weiwei. I still don't believe it." Zhao Bingbing shook her head with a smile and patted her forehead. "I think about it now, I am really the stupidest fool in the world. Not only did I not believe it, I even beat Lang Yi. I think he slandered my cousin. As a result, they became a couple later on. My poor brother-in-law to be, like me, didn't believe that my sister had betrayed him, so he went to beat up Lang Yi, haha. R1152. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 1161. Seeing that Chu Xia was looking at him silently, Zhao Bingbing smiled uncomfortably. "As I said just now, I am telling you this out of selfish motives, but I think it won't do you any harm, so take precautions in advance. It's better than having to make amends if something goes wrong. You must not think that I am being alarmist. I grew up with my cousin. Everyone likes her but not me because she is not only beautiful but gentle, she also likes to help others and she rarely loses her temper. It was her appearance that deceived me, otherwise, I would not have been fooled by her so easily. I have lived for more than 20 years, and I only discovered her true face when she really took action, let alone not knowing her well. Person. People like her are the hardest to guard against. She looks harmless and indifferent to the world, which makes it easy for people to relax their vigilance. When something really happens, it will be too late to regret. Of course, for men, they don't believe that she is that kind of person. After Lang Yi got together with her, he always felt that she was the purest and kindest girl. He didn't feel that Zhao Weiwei had been plotting against him for a long time. In other words, even if he knew about her, he wouldn't care. Men are just like this. They feel that it is an honor to attract the attention of beautiful girls. To be honest, I wish she would dump Lang Yi quickly and let Lang Yi see her true face, but I don't want you to suffer this kind of betrayal again like me. Of course, I believe that your husband must have higher and further vision than Lang Yi, but the problem is that Zhao Weiwei usually shows no ambition at all. Into a man's heart. When the other person couldn't help himself, she gave him a push. I've always wanted to get to know you, remind you, I'm not making trouble for nothing. It's not because she has harmed me before that I retaliate for no reason. It's because she often mentions your husband when she calls home. In the past, she always liked to say good things about Lang Yi to me and my family. At that time, I was very grateful to her, but I didn't expect that she had another thought. Although she stole my boyfriend, no one in my family blamed her. I even feel that there is nothing wrong with making the wrong choice in emotional matters and correcting it in time. This is her ability. Zhao Bingbing spread her hands and said, if she makes a mistake, she will be able to do so with confidence. I understand, what you mean is that your cousin has set his sights on my husband. This is something you can be sure of, so you are trying every means to get to know me and remind me, right? Yes, Zhao Bingbing nodded seriously, I mean it sincerely, because I am already a victim myself, and I don't want others to follow in my footsteps. Moreover, you are still married and have a baby. Not to mention got hurt like this. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that your husband is unfaithful, it's just that Zhao Weiwei's methods are too clever. My former brother-in-law-to-be still doesn't think Zhao Weiwei is wrong. He just thinks that Lang Yi seduced the simple Zhao Weiwei. He dreams that one day to snatch Zhao Weiwei back again. So. She spread her hands, do you think ordinary people can do this? Anyway, I ask myself that I can't do it. As for whether you can do it, I'm also skeptical. Of course I can't do it. Chu Xia smiled, what I'm curious about is, if I hadn't happened to meet my auntie making trouble today, how would you have known me and reminded me? Perhaps I won't look for you after procrastinating. Zhao Bingbing smiled sheepishly, asking me to look for you rashly, I really can't do this. Now, after experiencing what happened before, I have a feeling that we are comrades in the same trench. It feels much more natural to talk about this, and because of this, I feel even more compelled to remind you. Thank you, I will ask my husband about this. How do you ask? Zhao Bingbing looked at Chu Xia with some worry. When she doesn't achieve the results she wants, she won't reveal any secrets. If you reveal your suspicions for no reason, your husband maybe he thinks you are joking, especially since what they are doing now is so dangerous, wouldn't you be more annoying to him if you are like this? Then what should I do according to your wishes? Chu Xia asked with a smile. She believed that Zhou Mikang would not be fooled, but since the other party was kind enough to remind her, she couldn't really take it seriously. How to do it? Zhao Bingbing's eyes widened, I heard that the women's medical team is recruiting people to go on missions. I want to go. How about you sign up too? Your son is already 1 year old and does not need to be fed anymore. There are so many elders in the family taking care of them, so there is nothing to worry about. At this time, it is more important to keep your husband, right? In other words, you are telling me this to persuade me to leave the children behind and go to the front line. Yes, Zhao Bingbing nodded, this is the best way to not only supervise Zhao Weiwei but also keep your husband. Your husband won't take it seriously if you just write letters and make phone calls. You must believe me, Zhao Weiwei and I have been cousins for so many years. If she hadn't stabbed her so hard in the end, I would never have recognized her true face. Moreover, I told this matter to people I know well, and everyone advised me to be more open-minded and talk about emotional matters. I really can't say who is right and who is wrong. They said that if it weren't for me and Lang Yi, they wouldn't be suitable. Lang Yi will not fall in love with someone else. Even my ex-brother-in-law Li Ligong told me not to cause trouble for my sister. My sister was just temporarily deceived and was also a victim. He asked me to wait patiently, saying that my sister would definitely see Lang Yi's true face and do it. Make the right choice. He also said, even if Lang Yi comes back to me, don't pay attention to him. A man with evil intentions like that is the least worthy of liking. To be honest, I also feel that Lang Yi does such a thing and is not worthy of me anymore. Pay attention to him. However, it is obviously the fault of two people, but only one person is spurned. This is a bit abnormal, right? I can understand it because I am the most tangible victim. Others cannot understand it because Zhao Weiwei's gentleness, kindness, and innocence are so deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. I also know that your current situation is actually not suitable for going to the front line. Even your family will not agree. Moreover, even if you tell the reason why you want to go on a mission, no one will believe you. Because as long as they investigate, everyone's reviews of Zhao Weiwei will definitely be extremely positive. Not only will you not be able to go, but you may also be disliked by your husband's family. Therefore, you really can't use this reason to join the expansion team. Among our students, your grades are extremely outstanding. You are married to a soldier. At this time, everyone will make such a choice. Respect yours. After being silent for a long time, Chu Xia looked at Zhao Bingbing with a smile. I must admit that you have made me a little tempted. It's not that I am afraid that Zhao Weiwei will snatch Zhou Mixang away, but I really want to see it with my own eyes. If you can help me a little more, please let me think about it again, okay? Okay, Zhao Bingbing nodded happily. Lin Chuxia, I like your character. You are not pushy or squeamish. Originally, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to persuade you. Chu Xia asked her with a smile, what will you do if you can't persuade me? There's no other way, then I'll go by myself. Actually, Looking outside the door, Zhao Bingbing lowered her voice, I want to expand the team. On the one hand, I want to do my part. Most importantly, I want to expand the team. Yes, I still don't want to be left behind by Zhao Weiwei. Ever since we were young, she and I have been the ones being compared. She is always one step ahead of me in everything. This time, she proposed to join the frontline medical team. It was also because of her choice that everyone's evaluation of her turned positive. If it hadn't been for her robbing Lang Yi, I might have admired her. However, it is precisely because I understand her principles of doing things that I understand that she chose to go to the front line, firstly, to climb higher, and secondly, to catch more suitable fish for herself. When your husband came to see you, she met you once, and she specifically asked your grandfather about it when he went back. I was nearby at the time, so he took it to heart. Later, she called me back and talked about the topic with my uncle. This further confirmed my guess. Of course, my aunt would not tell me what mother and daughter talked about. It was my mother who told me, because there were several times when my aunt answered the phone, my mother was nearby. My mother was also very angry about Zhao Weiwei snatching away Lang Yi, but later she told me that it was a blessing in disguise. A man like that would change his mind so easily, even if he was really married. Don't expect the other person to be a good husband either. He also said that people like Zhao Weiwei, who look at the mountains all day long, will sooner or later be beaten to death by themselves. It is precisely because they hate the other party that they pay special attention to the news about the other party, so, I also understood Zhao Weiwei's movements very clearly. Our grandma is actually the shrewdest. When we were little, grandma liked me more than Zhao Weiwei. However, in front of outsiders, she would not allow us to show our differences as sisters. Therefore, when I threw bait to you before, I directly said that my sister and your husband are in the same place, instead of saying that my cousin and your husband are in the same place. Although there is a difference of the word tang, the old lady will be upset after hearing this. I'll be happy. Understood. Chu Xia nodded, you mean, I must not show that I know about your sister's incompatibility, so as not to make the old lady feel uncomfortable, right? Yes, yes. Zhao Bingbing scratched her head in embarrassment. The main reason is that I'm afraid that my grandma will settle the score with me when I get home. She has said it many times that conflicts can be caused behind closed doors, and you must not embarrass yourself. Go in front of others.